Hey everyone, welcome to the 5-Minute Bible Teaching from Back to the Bible. I'm Pastor Nat, and today we're going to talk about overcoming anger. What is your button? What is it in your life that will get you to go from 0 to 10 in under a second with your anger? I think we all have those triggers that can make you go from cool as ice to hotter than a fire. The reality is, many of us struggle with anger. Being angry in and of itself isn't really a problem. The real issue is what we do with our anger. If you're struggling with anger today, King David has some incredible encouragement and advice for you. This is what King David said in Psalm 86. "O God, insolent men have risen up against me. A band of ruthless men seek my life, and they do not set you before them. But you, O Lord, are a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness. Turn to me and be gracious to me. Give your strength to your servant and save the son of your maidservant." Now, I don't know what's triggering you today, whether it's the result of the election, whether it's the comments of people on Facebook or Twitter. Maybe it's the reality of Christmas coming and you feel overwhelmed because of gifts to buy or family issues. But I want us to pause and think about David and what he was facing. David says in verse 14 that enemies have risen up against him and they are seeking to take his life. Now, I'm not going to diminish your situation or the problems that we face today. But I do want us to really pause and to contemplate that King David was literally running for his life. He was literally being hunted down by enemies who had no regard for God and no regard for David. David was unjustly pursued and plotted against. That is a legitimate reason to be frustrated and to be angry. Likewise, when you're falsely accused or discriminated against, it irritates you. At least it makes me angry. But notice what David says in verse 15. He says, "But God, you are merciful and gracious. You are slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness." What David is saying is you are holy. You're perfect. Your creation has rebelled against you. You have every reason to be angry and to want to kick some major sinful butt. However, you refrain from that. Instead, you are abounding in love and faithfulness. You see, he turns from the problem and he turns to the solution. The solution is God. But notice what he says in verse 16. He says, "God, turn to me. God, be gracious to me. Give me your strength and help me." If you're struggling with anger today, you need to go back to the Bible. Go back and study the character of God. God is just. He is wrathful. But he is also patient. He is slow to anger. He is full of love and faithfulness to his people. The book of James tells us that we can come to God for wisdom. We can turn to him for help on how to handle our situation, and he will give us wisdom. And he does it without rebuke, and he will give it to us generously. If you are struggling with anger today, my challenge to you is to consider God's response to the injustices of the world today. That doesn't mean that we don't care. We do care. But we turn to God and we say, "God, help me. Help me not to react out of anger, but instead, show me how to deal with the problem. Help me to show love and grace and mercy, because that is exactly what you have shown me." Thanks for joining me today. I hope you are encouraged. If you did find today's message helpful, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends on social media. And by the way, This ministry is only made possible by kingdom investors like you. So if you would like to participate and join us in the journey, consider donating at backtothebible.org. That's backtothebible.org. Until next time, stand firm, stand faithful, and stand on God's Word.